Well, that's all very kind and gracious, and I appreciate very much those blessings. And I do look forward to the next phase of my life, and, having my own voice is a big part of being an artist, and doing things in loving service to friends like McKenna is a blessed task, but it's not the only thing that I'm doing. I'm working on a personal biography that's called American Satori. I'm working on a deep ecology project that I call Subverde. And really my work is moving toward an understanding of the implications of the psychedelic project for deep ecology, and how do we make peace with ourselves so that we can live in a sustainable way on this planet. And that's really where my attention's moving, and is already. So I'll be doing other things that are clearly in the same thread of reason and same thread of outrage that McKenna's stuff is, but I definitely will be doing my own stuff and being out in the world again.
Great. Well, you've now gracefully, for the most part, slid into the position of being an elder. So now you get to share your wisdom as your elder birthright would so to speak, sort of translate to the rest of us. So, Ken, I really want to thank you for coming on to the show and sharing your stories around Terrence and your experience around the film. And just go ahead, give people the website one more time so that they can get go sample it or find out more about you and find out more about how they may want to be a part of this.
It's Lux McKenna, LuxMcKenna, luxmckenna.com. There's a lot of stuff.
All right. Well, thanks again, Ken, especially for the beginning part of the show where we're struggling with the audio a little bit. We finally got this thing rolling, and it was great having you on, and I'm sure I'll be seeing you somewhere in 3D in the not-so-distant future.
Blessings, dude. I had a great time. Thank you for doing this.
All right. You're welcome, Ken. Take care.
Peace.
Bye-bye. So that was Ken Adams, and he is the creator of the Terrence McKenna story. And again, you can go to luxmckenna.com and go find out more about the clip. Fascinating stuff, and I think that Ken is going to be a voice that people are going to be hearing more from in the future. He's got a great soul, a lot of wisdom, and glad I could spend some time with him today and share a little bit of Ken Adams and his world with you. Real quick, I'm going to be on here for about another 5 minutes or so, and I'm going to wrap things up. I was actually on not Art Bill. I was on Coast to Coast last night. It's my first appearance on Coast to Coast. It was funny. It was actually quite funny. I was sitting around. It was one of these nights I couldn't sleep, and George had a couple of psychics on, and he had this psychic from North Carolina. She was on. It's a nice lady. She sounded like a nice lady. I didn't necessarily find her psychic material that compelling, to be honest with you. And it was that moment, where the guy with the deep voice says, if you'd like to call in, the West of the Rockies number is first-time callers. So I decided that I was going to go and chime in and see if I can get on the air with George. And the psychic, who by the name is Angela, what's her name, Angela. So I got on the West of the Rockies line, and sure enough, within about 10 minutes, I got on the air. So I asked her a question. I asked her two questions. The first question I asked her was, did she think that as we got closer to 9/11, that we would have more information about 9/11 and some of the more salient points around what really happened around 9/11 come out? And she said, yes, but not necessarily by then. And I could tell the question made her a little uncomfortable, but it was okay. She got through. The second question was, I asked her, so I have an internet radio show. Do you think I'll give George Norrie a run for his money one of these days? And she said, persistence, persistence, persistence. George was very cool. I have to say he was very, very cool. He chuckled at that. He wanted to know what my radio show was. So hats off to George. I appreciated his coolness. And I got to say, George has got some of the best pipes in the business. I mean, that guy can really talk. Ken's got a great voice too, very deep, rich. So sort of baritone voice. So it was fun being on Coast to Coast briefly. I haven't called in Coast to Coast since Art Bell was on the air, and that's well over 10 years ago. We're talking 12, 13 years ago. It's 11:41. I've got 18 minutes left in the program today. A couple of programming notes. I'll be on Monday with the Monday mashup, and pretty much same as usual for the following week. Navigating the Astrological Matrix on Wednesday. And Friday, again, I'm trying to get back into this guest. I love having guests on the show. Last week I was supposed to have Moya Brennan. That did not work out. Apologies to anybody who tuned in, wanted to hear her. But today, after a few glitches at the beginning of the show, we had Ken on. It was a great time, great role with Ken. And next Friday, I'm going to try to get somebody on that we can talk about some health issues. I'm very interested in health and some of the things that keep us from really achieving a state of wellness. I'm very fascinated at this right now with Lyme disease, and how Lyme disease is really one of the big secrets right now in the medical world, and how a lot of people are suffering from Lyme disease and don't even know it. So I'm going to try to get somebody on who's an expert in the alternative field when it comes to Lyme, and see if we can get some enlightening information on how we can really deal with a nasty bacteria, the Borrelia bacteria, and how the Borrelia strain that can actually penetrate the brain blood barrier and do all kinds of really funky stuff to the body, and we're just not even aware of it. In fact, it accelerates our decomposition in some ways. So anyway, that's next Friday, and if I can't find anybody, I'm just going to do a show on Lyme in general and come with as much information as possible around Lyme. By next Friday, we will have stared down the debt ceiling, quote-unquote, crisis that's happening in this country. There is a huge amount of rhetoric, huge amount of game playing, and I think, quite frankly, it's all a sham. I think we're all being lied to. I think there's far more money at our disposal than they're letting on. I mean, come on, look it. There are black budgets galore that are funding projects you and I would cringe if we knew about it. Okay, so this whole thing is an utter lie. That's number one. Number two, the debt mechanism that we have been yoked to is really a complete sham. And number three, if there were people that were so invested in the prosperity of the planet, they would ease the debt. In fact, they would cancel out the debt. But that's not what they want to do. That's not the game. Debt is leverage. We're seeing that in places like Greece, Spain, and unfortunately coming to a zip code near you in this country. So maybe on Monday I'll spend some time, since we're inching up to this debt ceiling crisis. August 2nd, that's the day. Circle it on your calendar. This is when all the clocks supposedly will fail. August 2nd. It's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. One of the things I'm probably going to talk about on that show is precious metals. And I think that we are staring down what could quite conceivably be a gold crisis. If you own gold, you may want to reposition yourself, because if the dollar begins to fall and falter, the government could come in and decide that they want people's gold to bolster the dollar, and they'll give you a set price, and it may not be the market price for gold. This happened before. This happened, I believe, back in the 1920s. People were holding on to gold. And people back then knew what the score was, and guess what? They made it illegal to hold gold coins. And so they took the gold coins and they melted them down. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about this on Monday. If you're in gold, you may want to think about silver and platinum. You want to go above or below. Silver is it's a great commodity, but it's hard to store because it takes a lot of it, right? You need big storage spaces for silver. I would say if you can get silver, great, do it. Platinum is an interesting metal because it is the next step up from gold. and they're not going to make a run on platinum. Platinum might even have more value than gold. So if you can get platinum, I would begin to divest or think about divesting, because your gold is at a high right now, and you could turn that into purchasing platinum and silver and kind of hedge your bet and be okay with with sort of the deconstruction of the American dollar and the American economy. Okay, more on that on Monday and Wednesday, Navigating the Astrological Matrix. And you have been listening to the Friday Forecast. I've been your host, Robert Phoenix, and I hope you enjoyed my guest today, Ken Adams, the producer, director, writer, all that stuff of the Terrence McKenna story. And you know the drill. Use your head to discern what's real, your heart to stay open to what's possible. And if you're in the Midwest or the East or the South where you are experiencing a record heat wave, try to stay cool. Stay as cool as you can. Stay indoors if you've got air conditioning, and just keep your wits about you and drink lots of water. Lots of water. I don't think that the heat wave is going to go away anytime soon. In fact, I see August as being an incredibly, and I mean incredibly hot month. All right. In the spirit of Dionysus, I'm going to get out of here with a little Jim Morrison. I'll see you on Monday.
All right. Hey, listen, man. Listen, man. I don't know how many of you people believe in astrology. Yeah, that's right, baby. I am a Sagittarius, the most philosophical of all the signs. But anyway, I don't believe in it. I think it's a bunch of bullshit myself. But I tell you this, man. I don't know what's gonna happen, man. But I want to have my kicks before the whole shithouse goes up in flames. All right.